Shoreline with sand in his pockets and guilt heavier than his travel bag. He's a thief, but not the kind who lifts watches or wallets. Cobb steals ideas, the ones hiding deep in people's dreams. He's haunted, brilliant, and forever one bad decision away from never seeing his kids again, which is basically his full-time motivation and emotional baggage rolled into one. Cobb's latest pitch is audacious. Not to steal an idea, but to plant one. Inception. A powerful businessman named Saito offers Cobb a deal. Help him plant a seed of doubt in the heir of a rival company, Robert Fisher, so Fisher will decide to dissolve his father's empire, and in return, Saito will use his influence to clear Cobb's criminal charges so Cobb can go home. It's the kind of job every thief dreams of doing only in theory, not in practice, and that's because it's almost impossible. The mechanics are tricky. They have to build a dream within a dream within a dream, synchronize a series of kicks to wake up, and get into Fisher's deepest mental vault without setting off the mind's defenses. Oh, and Cobb's own subconscious keeps inventing problems in the form of his dead wife Mal, who is determined to make him fail.
Arthur, his level-headed right hand, is the planner and logistics guy, calm, skeptical, and surgical about his job. Ames is a forger, a cheeky charmer who can impersonate another person within a dream and mess with the target's memories. Ariadne, a bright young architecture student, becomes the dream architect. She designs the landscape where the heist unfolds and learns, painfully, how dangerous constructing dreams can be. Yusuf is a chemist who concocts the potent sedative cocktail that will keep their subconscious layers stable long enough for Inception.
Oh, that's the clever part. I customize the sedative to leave inner ear function unimpaired.
Fisher himself is the target, younger than his absentee father, Robert Fisher Sr., and vulnerable in his loneliness and need for validation. Then there's Saito, who doesn't just bankroll the operation, but also insists on being there inside the dream to ensure it succeeds. It's an odd little crew of criminals, scholars, and desperate men. They rehearse, because you don't walk into someone's head without rehearsal. There's a scene where Arthur shows how a dreamer's security projections work and how time stretches in shared dreaming. Ariadne watches the rules of this universe take shape, gravity, inertia, and the nasty surprise that your subconscious can weaponize your guilt. That's how Mal keeps coming back, in increasingly violent and convincing ways to sabotage Cobb. For Cobb, Mal is more than a memory, she is his punishment. She died after years of playing in limbo, a place the team calls, grimly, the long-term subconscious. She convinced herself the dream world was real and tricked Cobb, and then forced him into a heartbreaking choice that left him unable to tell dream from reality afterward, which, frankly,
Is cleverly cinematic. They will kidnap Fisher physically, sedate him into a shared dream, and then, layer by layer, guide him through a contrived emotional journey that plants the idea that he should dissolve his father's company. Each dream level will serve a purpose. Level 1 is an urban chase and abduction that makes the target vulnerable. Level 2 is a hotel where Arthur keeps things under control. Level 3 is a snowy mountain fortress where the deepest emotional confrontation happens and the actual Inception gets implanted. If anything goes wrong on a deeper level, everyone above has to kick at precisely the right time to wake up, and the architecture of the plan depends on chain reactions, fights, car drops, elevator jolts, and well-timed explosions. Think of a Rube Goldberg machine where a kicked van equals salvation or doom. They carry out the operation by causing a fake kidnapping on a ship, putting Fisher under heavy sedation with use of Strug, and descending into his subconscious. Immediately, things go sideways. Cobb's own demons make an appearance. Mal appears again and again, not as an actor, but as a force, sabotaging their plans. She knows Cobb's weakness and uses Fisher's subconscious as a theater for her interference, trying to get him to pick apart the plan, question reality, and most dangerously, make Cobb doubt himself. Eames proves invaluable with impersonations. He slips into dream versions of people to manipulate Fisher's emotions. Ariadne learns to manipulate space, folding Paris streets like paper, making impossible angles and traps, and begins to see how dangerous it is to build someone else's mental scaffolding.
Arthur does his part with impeccable timing, and Yusuf pilots the first-level getaway vehicle, a van that, in dream logic, will fall off a bridge and cause the synchronized kicks needed to wake everyone up. It's an audacious, absurd plan, and bless them, they proceed anyway.
Time dilates. Minutes in reality become hours in a dream, which become decades in limbo. The deeper you go, the longer your mind can spend. Saito gets shot in the third level and appears to die, which would normally strand him in limbo. That raises the stakes. If anyone dies in a dream with the sedative they're using, they don't wake up into the real world. They fall into limbo. Cobb has been to limbo before, and it's not a happy memory. He and Mal spent what felt like decades there, building a life until Mal convinced herself their constructed world was the real one. She eventually killed herself in the real world to free them, or so she thought, and Cobb's guilt about that haunts him nightly. To fix things after Saito's fall, Cobb takes a radical step. He decides to go into limbo to retrieve both Saito and Fisher's mind so Fisher can complete the Inception and wake up with the planted idea. Ariadne is the one who figures out Cobb's vulnerability and steps into limbo with him. That decision is the emotional fulcrum of the film because it forces Cobb to confront Mal in a setting where she's strongest, a place where his memories became reality and turned into a prison.
Cobb faces Mal as a real person, not just a projection. She taunts him, argues, and demands that he choose between her and his children. Mal has become a perfect projection of Cobb's unresolved grief and guilt. Ariadne, who entered the whole mess like a cautious student, now acts like a savior, guiding Cobb through the labyrinth of his own creation. She forces him to remember what is true and what is a lie Mal told herself about reality. That's when Cobb finally stops trying to fight Mal in the dream and instead helps her see the truth she refused to accept before. He doesn't win by force, he wins by letting her go. It is messy, heartbreaking, and unexpectedly tender. Meanwhile, back in the carefully staged dream levels, Eames, Arthur, and Yusuf improvise an extended sequence of kicks to get them all out on time. Yusuf's van plummets off a bridge in the first dream, causing a series of jolts through the levels, a hotel hallway elevator fall, a slow-motion snow fortress explosion, and finally a jump back to baseline. Each team member has to time everything perfectly while dodging Fisher's subconscious projections, armored goons, father figures, and an internalized version of Browning being the corporate fixer Cobb and Eames mimic to trick Fisher. There's betrayal, ruses, and a scene where Eames uses Browning's voice to inject the notion that Fisher should be his own man, not his father's puppet. It's manipulative, but then so is Inception. Fisher's inner conflict is the emotional secret doorway the team needs. He's been raised to live in a hotel of his father's influence, to expect a life pre-assembled. Cobb and Eames artfully manufacture a crisis where Fisher believes his father wanted him to step out of a shadow. That dying father's he can reject. When they finally succeed in delivering a small, simple notion that Fisher should make something of his own legacy by dissolving his father's conglomerate, it's not flashy fireworks that sell it. It's a carefully staged, personal, emotional nudge. Believes his father wanted him to step out.
The movie's all philosophical high-mindedness and neat closure. It's also a set-piece machine. City-bending visuals, a hallway fight where gravity goes sideways, a van that won't stop falling, and a snowy fortress that blows up in a way that makes you hold your breath. The film juggles blockbuster spectacle and a surprisingly tight emotional core. You get everything. Smart dialogue that trusts your intelligence, family drama that punches below the belt, and action sequences that actually serve the story instead of existing only to impress. Warmth, Arthur's dry humor, Eames's playful condescension, Ariadne's curiosity. Each character is more than a function. They feel like people you could both be friends with and wish to avoid on a bad day. There are ethical potholes along the way. Inception is essentially mental trespass and manipulation on a grand scale.